Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. Great to have everybody here tonight. Tons of ground to cover. Wow. And I have a couple of special things lined up for this broadcast tonight. We are going to be joined shortly by Jeff Evely of Veterans for Freedom, 20-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces, freedom fighter, convicted today on a couple of counts related to his visit to the Freedom Convoy. We'll have Jeff tell you in his own words what happened in court today and what it means for him and for the freedom movement, for the country. We'll have a discussion. That coming up shortly. Also, P. Diddy facing serious charges. Some people looking back at his previous activities, his political connections. What else do we have for you tonight? Oh, so much stuff. Exploding pagers targeting Hezbollah operatives. Not clear who might be responsible for that. Accusations flying tonight. Politics still running thick. Tempers flaring. Ryan Routh, the would-be Trump assassin, arrested after being spotted on the golf course where Trump was playing the other day. And we have video of him in a a place that might make Kamala Harris feel a little bit uneasy. Oh, there's just all these different stories to cover tonight. And, and Jagmeet Singh, leader of the New Democrat Party in Canada, has a confrontation with a couple of guys outside the Parliament buildings today. Words were exchanged. We have it for you. And I have another special treat. We've produced some songs. And I'm going to share the title track for what has now become an album of freedom songs. And I'm really excited to share the title track with you tonight. And I'll give you all the details on this a little later in the broadcast. But first, we'll start digging into some of today's top news stories right after this.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible t-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air ready to fight for freedom. Get your Trump Fighting for Freedom t-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are two iconic artistic designs to choose from, but there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech, free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Let's begin tonight with politics. Strangest election ever. 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump. Now, new video, well, old video, found of Ryan Routh, the would-be assassin, alleged would-be assassin. Look at this. Here's footage from a Kamala Harris rally, I believe. Hang on, just let me confirm this, because this is just coming in here. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're told this is footage from a Kamala Harris rally where people are being bussed in. Watch very closely and look who pops up in the video. Look at this. Right. Oh, who's that? Right there. Right there. In the purpley mauve kind of shirt. Sure looks like him, doesn't it? Sure does look like him. Ryan Routh. Is it him? Could well be. But in this current social media digital environment, I don't instantly believe anything anymore. I'm still skeptical. Can't believe my lying eyes. But it sure looks weird. Anyway, that's out there tonight. And at the White House, hang on just a moment. We have the White House press secretary kind of on the hot seat, being asked questions about, a variety of things surrounding the attempted assassination or alleged attempted assassination. Here, let's just listen in a little bit on this. Here we go.
Safety. The Secret Service has already announced a review into the incident, into what happened. And so, as we have said many times, the men and women at the Secret Service have a hard job, a tireless, thankful job. And we have to remember they're protecting the president, they're protecting former presidents, and many others. Again, this is a mission that is critical. The president certainly has full confidence in them. Go ahead, Selena.
Thanks, Green. Donald Trump blamed President Biden and Vice President Harris for the latest assassination attempt against him. He claimed without evidence that their rhetoric is causing him to be, quote, shot at. How is the White House responding to those comments?
Well, I love that you added without evidence, because I want to be very clear here. The president and the vice president have always forcefully condemned violence in all forms, including political violence, and we certainly have never encouraged any violence in any way. If anything, this is a president and a vice president has been pretty forceful about that. When it comes to differences in issues and policies, we believe that there should be a conversation. There was a debate just last week, right? There should be a conversation and a back and forth about that, a healthy conversation. And it's crucial that we do that. And the president has also said, when it comes to, violent rhetoric, we got to bring the temperature down. You heard that directly from this president. And it is not the time to tear Americans apart. We cannot do that or divide our country. The president and the vice president is always going to call that out. But they have been very clear, very forceful on condemning any form of political violence.
So do the president and vice president believe that the kind of language that Trump used in those comments I just said are contributing to the tension and divisiveness you just talked about?
It is, look, we're going to be really clear, and we've always have been. It is important to bring down the temperature. To bring that temperature down of that political violent rhetoric. We've been very clear about that. And we believe, this president believes, let's not forget why he decided to run in 2020, was about that, was about making sure that we bring the country together, that we bring people together, and it was not about dividing. And so we're going to continue to be very, very clear about that. We're going to continue to call that out. And they did, January 6th. The president and the vice president called that out. When Paul Pelosi was attacked because of political rhetoric, violent rhetoric, we called that out. And when the first incident happened a couple weeks ago, the Butler, after that aftermath, the president called that out as well. And so he's very consistent. He thinks both sides should be very clear about that. It's not just the president or the vice president. Every leader, national leader, or any leader in this country should be calling out political violence and bringing the country together, not dividing
Just to be clear, just to clarify, so you're saying that the president and vice president believe that former President Donald Trump should be toning down his rhetoric?
So I'll say this. President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy. He's been clear-eyed about that. From his role, let's not forget, from his role of January 6th, where he refused to accept the outcomes of free and fair elections. Look what happened on that day. Some of you were there at the Capitol. Some of you have colleagues who were there at the Capitol, reported and saw what happened. 2,000 angry people went there to try to overturn a free and fair election. And so it's not going to stop the president and the vice president to call out, to continue to strongly call out, when it comes to protecting our democracy. We have to be forceful about that. We have to be very clear. We can resolve our differences, right? Via talk at the ballot box, right? We can have differences in policies and issues. That is okay. It is important that we have differences there. But when it comes to political violence, we have to condemn it. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thanks, Green. A couple follow-ups. Is the president concerned about additional escalation in the Middle East after this pager incident with Hezbollah?
Yeah, well, there's the next story.
I'm going to be super thoughtful about this. I'm not going to get into speculation from here. I'm just not going to go beyond the reports. Just going to be not going to get into hypotheticals here.
Okay, I wasn't asking a hypothetical. I'm asking if the president is concerned about future escalation, which is something he's talked about
when it comes to the Middle East, that is something that we have spoken to before. We are always obviously concerned about that. This particular incident, I don't want to get into speculate about it or get into hypotheticals about it. When we think about the conflict along the blue line between Israel and Hezbollah, it has gone on for way too long, long enough, and so it is in everyone's interest to resolve it quickly and diplomatically. So we continue continue to believe that there should be a diplomatic resolution to this, and so I will leave it there. And well, actually, I'll add, this is why the ceasefire negotiation is so important. This is why the hostage deal is so important. This is why the president and his administration has been working around the clock, 24 hours to get that done. We believe the deal would help reduce tensions along the blue line, and that is one of the reasons. We believe diplomatic, obviously, efforts are critical and important at this time. As it relates to that incident, we've seen the reports. I just don't have anything to say beyond that.
On the issue of political rhetoric, do you have any reaction to Senator Vance's comments in which he noted that the difference between, in his view, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is that no one has tried to assassinate Vice President Harris?
You know, again, going to be mindful. Obviously, he's a candidate. But when you are a national leader and you have a community that looks up to your leadership, and you have a job where you're supposed to make people's lives better, where you're supposed to do the thing that is right on behalf, not just the American people, but on behalf of this country, people entrust in you to do just that, entrust in you to make decisions that's going to move this country forward, to make it the great country that it is. And when you have that type of language out there, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because people look up to that particular national leader, and they listen to you when you are a national leader. And when you make comments like that, all it does is create or opens an opportunity for people to listen to you and potentially take you very seriously. And so it's dangerous to have that type of rhetoric out there. This is why this president and this vice president has been very clear on condemning any type of political violence, political rhetoric. And that's why when the president called the former president, was really relieved that the president was safe. And the president has said, we need to tone that down. We need to tone it down. And it should have no place in our politics. It should have no place in our country. We should not be speaking that way. We should not be saying those things. It is already, we are living in a space right now where the political rhetoric is too high. The violent rhetoric is too high. And we saw what happened on January 6th. We saw what happened sadly, to Paul Pelosi. And we saw what happened at Butler, the aftermath of Butler, and over the weekend. And we gotta tone it down. We do.
Just one more on the Lebanon situation. Just given that, you and John Kirby from this podium.
Okay, so we'll come back to the story about the pager explosions. We'll come back to that. What I do want to do now, though, is pivot over to this story about Jagmeet Singh having this confrontation with two people on Parliament Hill today. This is only the second day of Parliament resuming. Here I have it queued up. I'll show you the exchange. And this is making headlines tonight. Here it is.
Corrupted bastard. Want to say something? What? Want to say something? You say nothing? What does it mean? That? You got something to say?
I didn't say corrupted bastard, but I said...
Is that what you said?
No, I did not say that.
Who said it?
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then? I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. It was a gentleman behind me, I guess. Who is it then? Point it out. I have no idea who it was, buddy. My word. You sure it's not you? No. 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to say it to my face. That's what's up. Say what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it. All right.
Now, I asked you if a confidence vote came up.
Corrupted bastard.
Just one more time.
You want to say something? What? You want to say something? You say nothing? Who said that? You got something to say?
I didn't say corrupted bastard, but I
Is
said...
that what you said?
No, I did not say
Who
that.
said it? Who said it?
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then? I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. It was a gentleman behind me, I guess. Who is it then? Point it out. I have no idea who it was, buddy. My word. You sure it's not you? No. 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to say it to my face. That's what's up. Say what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it. All right.
Now, I asked you if a confidence vote came up.
Well, I can't see the lips moving, so I can't be sure who said it. What was said, I believe the words were corrupted bastard. So, the video is getting quite a bit of play online, of course. There were protesters out yesterday, I know that, on Parliament Hill. The Wellington Street Regulars, as they're called, were there. From what I saw, they were asking politicians questions as they were making their way into the Parliament buildings yesterday. I didn't really pay too much more attention to it, but I know there were demonstrators there. Not a huge number that I saw, but, you know, just demonstrating, making their presence known as Parliament resumed yesterday, kind of marking the occasion. And then this today. So, I don't think anything will come of that, but you can see people are restless. All right, stay with me. Well, actually, you know what I'm going to do before we get to Jeff, because he's waiting in the wings. But I do want to share something with you. We have a song. A lot of you guys want to see my dog. You're always asking about my dog. Well, I created this song. And, well, I just hope you like it. I'll run the song, run a promo, we'll come back, we'll talk to Jeff, and then I'll talk more about this song and some other work we've been doing around here. Free Dog. Here we go.
I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom, running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. Cosmo's got them paws that just itch to roll. He's chasing his dreams, he's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a blur. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains, he's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. Now the night's getting cold and the sky's turning gray, but Cosmo's still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With every step, he's leaving his bed. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. So if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmo's run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day, when you're feeling alone, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Whoa, hang on a second. I see Cosmo is, he's such a ham. Okay, more with Cosmo later, but right now we have to bring Jeff Evely in. Hello, sir. How are you tonight?
Apparently not as good as Cosmo. I'm not sure.
Yes. Yeah, rough day for you. You appeared, I guess, online for a court appearance for your decision on your court case. Tell us what happened.
I mean, exactly what I expected to happen. So, you know, I guess the fact that I already understood the justice system to be non-existent in Canada really kind of softens that sting a little bit. I mean, it was we had a constitutional question on the table. You know, I have a right to freedom of movement. I have a right to freedom of expression. And so the basic backstory is that I was on my way to the monument at 4 a.m. on February 19th, 2022 to cover a sentry duty shift to allay the OPS's concerns about patriots peeing on the monument after we took the fence down. And we were doing this at their request. I was actually managing the schedule. That came up in the judge's decision. Like there was no evidence, you know, anywhere to indicate that I had actually been doing that sentry duty. You know, I mean, I could give her the shift schedule if she wants. I don't know what kind of evidence they're looking for. They have a video of me at the monument, you know, saying that we're clearing snow. You know, there's a video where retired Captain Brian Marr made the deal with the OPS. They said, yeah, you know, put a med on the monument 24/7. And then that's what we did. And since I was running the shift schedule, I usually ended up with the 4 a.m. shifts, and I was on my way in on the 19th for that. When the police told me, no, I could not go to the monument, veteran, you know, 2 wars and, wearing my medals on my way to the war monument, walking on an open sidewalk. So they said I couldn't go. And I said, well, yeah, I can. And then they said, no, stop. And I said, no. I kept going. So I gave chase for like a half a block. And then when I saw that there were a couple of guys coming to intercept me, I just put my hands up and went down onto the ground and did the arrest. Of course, they lied about all that on the stand and said that one guy was trying to say that he bear hugged and body slammed me. I was like, you're a joke, man. These portly officers got too much to prove. So yeah, the judge's reasoning was that I knew that there, what was it that she said? She said that I knew that there was an illegal occupation of the downtown area going on, and that by going back there that I committed mischief. So that's what I got tried. It was mischief and obstruction. I don't know. I think the whole goddamn thing is a mess. It was pretty painful to have to listen to her reasoning, especially when she's just, you know, using all the talking points in the mainstream media that, well, and the thing is, nobody's ever going to get a fair trial in Ottawa, right? I mean, it's Ottawa that hates the rest of us. Not everybody in Ottawa. There's some of the best people in the country here in Ottawa. They're my friends, but the rest of them are sick, evil freaks. So the CBC Ottawa, I mean, we watched what happened when everybody was on their way to the trucker convoy, and there were millions of Canadians lining the overpasses across the country with their flags and signs and showing of support. Everybody was very enthusiastic for it. But as soon as they got to Ottawa, CBC Ottawa started ginning up all this nonsense about racist, Nazi, white supremacist, diagolon accelerationists getting ready to storm and insurrect the Capitol because they hate us, right? They hate regular Canadians. So they ran all these defamatory psychological operations for all intents and purposes, and now the judges are relying on that reporting, this nonsense about an occupation of the downtown area. That's what she said. She said it was an illegal occupation and that I knew that. And I was like, no, I don't know that. I never knew that for 1 second. And there was all this stuff, like I was given these notifications. I took the stand, and some of my friends in Ottawa there, like Chris Stacey and Patriot Smoothie, now Right Blend, great guys, like all the greatest people came out to support me. Melissa McKee and the Wellington Street regulars, and so it was really great to get to hang out with them. They said that I was basically the only guy in the whole thing that actually took the stand in my own defense. And these were the kinds of things that they were throwing at me. They were like, well, you were given, there was a notification that was handed out. So you were given this notification that said that you had to clear the downtown area. And I was like, no, I wasn't given any notification. Nobody talked to me. And they said, well, you knew that they were passing out these notifications. And I said, well, I saw it on social media. And they'd say, well, you didn't adhere to that. You didn't heed that warning. And I was like, well, no, I mean, it didn't state under what authority that order was being issued. It wasn't signed, and it was replete with spelling mistakes. So, I didn't see that as having any weight, like legally. I thought maybe there was just some baby boomer, having a tantrum, chief of police, namely Steve Bell, and trying to, sort of gin up all this fear and hope that people would just leave anyway. And I just said, no, I'm not afraid. So I stayed. And, the thing is though, Rick, like, I fully expected to be arrested before I ever left my house in Nova Scotia. I saw what they did on January 6th at the Capitol in the U.S., and they were basically running the same psyop in the lead up to the convoy. And I think the only difference really was that with January 6th, they had a date ahead of time that they could plan for, whereas the convoy was spontaneous. So they were kind of more reactive than they could be if they had a date ahead of time. But it was the same damn thing. So I fully expected that they were going to mass arrest everybody. And that was another thing that they said. Like, that's another thing the judge said. Oh, well, they didn't mass arrest everybody. He definitely didn't think they were going to mass arrest people like they did in Toronto, like they have a history of doing with the 2010 G20 summit. So yeah, they didn't kettle people and there weren't any mass arrests. And I was like, no, they just beat the shit out of everybody and then drove them out of town and dropped them off on the outskirts in Barrhaven there somewhere with no access to a toilet, a phone, or a heated space. I said all that on the stand. It's like, and now they get to play this hide the ball, plausible deniability stuff where it was like, oh yeah, it was definitely a legit police operation because they didn't mass arrest everybody. No, they just beat the shit out of us and ran us out of town. Like, it's straight up thuggery. I don't care. Like, I don't care how well dressed you are when you're engaged in thuggery. They're talking about these guys like they're officers of the law. Well, what law were they enforcing? And then there was this notion, like they said, well, Jim Watson declared a state of emergency in Ottawa, so that was the state of emergency. And I'm like, well, I didn't see any emergency down there. And we're talking about the same scumbag that fenced off the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers so he could use his body as a prop to smear political dissidents in order to score some cheap points with the Crime Minister of Canada. So like these people are just scum, and they're all going to stick together no matter what. And I asked for a change of venue, not officially. Like, the lawyer was just like, don't bother, because they're not going to give anybody a change of venue, and they're not, because they don't want anybody to have a fair trial, and we're not getting it.
So what now? You sentencing comes
sentencing next week.
When? Next week. And any idea what you might be facing there? What are the requests from the Crown and defense?
I don't know about the requests. I guess, my lawyer is kind of saying no criminal convictions. I've led a good life, and And now I got to pull together this file that demonstrates that, I guess, with all my commendations and letters of appreciation and character references and whatnot. But that's fine. I can stand on that record, no problem. I'll do all that. But he's kind of looking at it and saying that probably probation, suspended sentence, something like that. I doubt it, though. I think maybe the lawyers are still a little bit have a little bit of faith in the so-called justice system, but I don't. So I really don't know how far it's going to go. It's totally unpredictable. Just listening to the incoherent nonsense coming out of these people, I'm sure they think that I'm some kind of an insurrectionist, and they'll probably try to put me away for a while. I don't know. I really don't.
And your case is coming to an end at the same time as these other cases with Tamar Litch and Chris Barber, and I think some others as well. What do you think all this means for the country?
Totalitarianism, like that's kind of what it's down to. Like, the state is always right, and that seems to be the attitude that I keep coming up against. They just keep going back to, I was given this command from this well-dressed thug, and I didn't follow it. I'm like, yeah, I have a duty to defy unlawful orders. That's how I was trained in the Canadian Armed Forces. Mind you, you always pay a price, especially when you're right, for doing that. This is coming from experience. And so it's not exactly new territory for me, but that was the attitude that I kept coming up against. It's like, somebody gave you an order and you follow it. And I was like, well, wait a second. I thought I was a free man for a second. I'm all done following orders. I did 20 years in the military. I went to Afghanistan, Iraq, and I followed enough orders. That's all I really need to do now is just kind of stop following orders. And if I live in a free country, then so long as I bring no harm to another, then there's no reason to expect that I should ever have to follow another order again. So, but the attitude right now coming from the bench is that if one of these thugs happens to be wearing the right suit and they start barking orders at you, then you better say, how high? And may I have another? It's a really sad state of affairs, and it's absolutely heartbreaking, for a veteran, for me at least, anyway.
Yeah, and I think because of what's happening to you and others through this process of putting people through the courts,
yeah,
emotions are still running high. I mean, it feels sort of like things are a little bit more normal, but things haven't been the same since the pandemic. It's still not the same now, and you can see the emotions still running high. We saw it today with that exchange. I don't know if you saw that with Jagmeet Singh. Did you see that?
I can't say that I have. I'm working on a bunch of stuff.
Oh my God! Let me see if I can find it for you.
Sure. I'm doing the 1 million March for Children on Friday here, so I've been kind of gearing up for that, and I got some other stuff on the go, all kinds of legal stuff, and Jesus, never thought I was going to be doing this.
Well, tell us about that event coming up.
The 1 million March for Children. So this is the second annual 1 million March for Children, and sponsored by Hands Off Our Kids. I was one of the organizers nationally last year, and I attended the march in Toronto, where I was the lead marshal and I spoke. And but this year I'm just kind of sticking to my hometown for this one, and I'm just the main organizer in Sydney, Nova Scotia. We got a really bad termite infestation of Trantifa around here, so I'm sure it'll be eventful on the day. But that's the point, right? Is there are so many people who aren't going to do this because they're just afraid, and they don't want to have themselves. They want to have these people harassing them on social media. But that's courage. Is really just, you're afraid and then you do it anyway. And I'm afraid that I'm more afraid of not doing something and what the consequences of that'll be. So,
yeah. Do you still have restrictions on you for Ottawa? Are you like? Sorry, what's that?
I was allowed in Ottawa after the trial concluded, a couple of days after, but I'm still not allowed to protest.
Wow. Here's what happened today with Jagmeet Singh. I think I recognize the one gentleman. I'm reluctant to say the name for legal reasons because I don't know where this is going to go. Maybe legally, probably nowhere. But here, just watch this. And this is just to show that emotions are running high. Things are not normal.
Corrupted bastard. say something? I didn't say nothing. What does it mean? That? You got something to say?
I didn't say corrupted bastard, but I
Is
said.
that what you said?
No, I did not
Who
say
said
that.
it? Who said it?
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then? I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. It was a gentleman behind me, I guess. Who is it then? Point it out. I have no idea who it was, buddy. My word. You sure it's not you? No. 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to say it to my face. That's what's up. Say what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it. All right.
Now, I asked you if a confidence vote came up.
I think he did say it.
I think so too. I think he did too.
I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't say it. This is something that Jagmeet Singh needs to hear. But, he should probably own it, you know?
Yeah, well, my gosh, that's politics today. That's outside the Parliament buildings. And I saw yesterday there were some demonstrators down there. Not a lot from what I saw. Maybe you're more aware than I am. But, but all they were doing was firing off questions at the politicians as they were walking into the building. But Jagmeet Singh, he seems a little bit tense. He needs to loosen up a little bit.
I hope that means that he's cracking. What I was actually thinking during that exchange is, I don't know if anybody really remembers this or not, but Jagmeet Singh actually has a pro MMA record. So he probably wouldn't mind too much if somebody wanted to get in his face a little bit. Just word to the wise.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah. But my God. Well, I have to say, and this is me editorializing, but I think this is ridiculous what they've done to you. I really do. It's you're walking down the street, you're a veteran, you're on your way to the War Memorial to guard it, to make sure that it's safe, that nothing bad happens down there. In response to really baseless allegations of desecration of the war monument, which I saw no evidence of to begin with. But yeah, you guys were down there taking care of it, and of course you're not going to do anything to disgrace it.
No, I mean, it was Jim Watson, using that unknown soldier's body as a prop that was the disgrace. And, he fenced it off. So it all got snowed in and caked in ice. Like, we spent days just clearing the snow and ice, and then it would snow back in. And we just kept on top of that place. Never looked so good. I mean, I lived in Ottawa for 7 years. They don't take care of that. And quite frankly, like, I'm just like, why the hell? Ottawa clearly does not want to be a capital city anymore. We're not allowed to protest there. That you're supposed to be able to go to your parliament. That is the one place everybody's supposed to be able to go. They wouldn't even let us on the lawn of the parliament when we were there for the trucker convoy. They made us stay on Wellington, and now they're saying that we blocked off traffic and it was an occupation. I was sitting there in the courtroom like, what are you talking about? The lanes were open. I was right there. There was traffic on those lanes. You guys took the porta potties. You wouldn't let us on the lawn. You made us go out to Wellington. So they and isn't Wellington federal? I don't really know, but the only reason that the streets were so blocked, they never would have been as blocked if they just allowed us to go on the lawn for the protest. So they created that situation, then said that we were the ones blocking traffic, and that's what constituted the emergency. It all kind of goes back to Jim Watson. I mean, he's the one who's desecrating the tomb of the unknown soldier. He's the one that's calling the Emergencies Act. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it was like one of his staffers who went out there with her purse dog to take a little pee here and there and then take a picture of it. It didn't even look like pee to me. It could have been anything. Whoever pees like that should probably see a doctor. And would it surprise me at all if he had a few of his boomer pals over there running the CBC, that he pulled a few strings with? And I mean, were those the guys that would come out to the war monument and shout at us, go home, while they got their big Magnum cameras on their shoulders with no logos on them, and then they're running away before you can even get a camera phone on them? I think that was probably CBC Ottawa, and the whole thing is a goddamn cesspool. Again, like, of course there are good people there, but they're the salt of the earth people. Everybody else is scum.
Yeah.
Like, so let's move the capital. That's where I was going with that. I'm sorry.
Well, you made, I mean, you made a very good point. That's an extremely important point, because that's what I said even from day one. If there's a place that is appropriate to go protest at, it's Parliament Hill.
You can't.
That's where you go. And they called it an occupation, but you weren't telling anyone they couldn't go there. You weren't saying, no, this area belongs to us. Nobody else is allowed in. You didn't block access to anything. It was open to anybody that wanted to come down there.
Well, and that was another thing the judge says is that it was an illegal occupation that prevented some people from the lawful enjoyment of property, and some businesses downtown had to close. And I was like, what exactly required them to close? Like, they did that of their own volition to make us look bad, because people in Ottawa hate regular Canadians. And, you know, if they don't want to be a capital, then fine. Like, a capital is a place where you can go and protest. If there's nowhere else in the country you can go and protest, it's at your national capital. And since we can't do that in Ottawa, it should not be a capital. Not one more federal dollar should ever flow into that sick, evil city. And we should just take all our monuments somewhere else and let the Parliament dilapidate as a mark of shame on the city that betrayed the fallen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you coming on the program tonight. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Screw Ottawa.
I hear you. I hear you. We'll continue to follow your case and get an update when you get sentenced. And yeah, I'm not sure how. Do you need support of any kind? Are you?
No, I'm okay.
No.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you know, thanks for letting me come on and rant a little bit, Rick. You know, I've just been kind of working on some other stuff and trying to stay focused on the road ahead. You know, if I got to go to jail for a little while or whatever, then fine. You know, I'll probably save money and finally get a chance to relax a little bit.
Well, we'll follow this. We won't forget about you while you're behind bars. That's for sure. You know, I know you've got people thinking about you here. So
appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, Jeff Evely, thank you, sir, for coming by and updating us tonight.
All right. Take care, Rick. Thanks for everything you do.
All right. Talk to you again soon.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible t-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air ready to fight. For freedom. Get your Trump Fighting for Freedom t-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are 2 iconic artistic designs to choose from. But there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech. Free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so still on the Canadian political scene. 2 by-elections yesterday. Liberals lost them both. Another sign that Justin Trudeau's days are numbered. Trudeau says he's going to stay focused on governing. while being handed these two by-election defeats, one in Montreal, one in Winnipeg. The riding in Winnipeg went to the... Who won in Winnipeg? It was the NDP leader. Sorry, the NDP, I believe, in Winnipeg. And in Montreal, I believe we got the Bloc Québécois won that riding. So the Bloc in Montreal and the NDP in Winnipeg. Trudeau still riding low in the polls. Big defeats again. And the riding in Montreal was a Liberal stronghold again. This isn't the first by-election the Liberals have lost, and there was one in the Toronto area a while back that was also a Liberal stronghold that turned over to the Conservatives. Let's just take a look at where the polls are at right now to get an indication of what the future might hold in store for Justin Trudeau. Oh, the internet's very sluggish. Hang on, well, instead of doing that, let's go to the House of Commons today, where we'll come to the polling in a moment. But yesterday, Parliament resumed after the summer break. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre went straight after Trudeau, calling for an early election, with Jagmeet Singh, who you saw in that confrontation, leader of the NDP, ending his agreement, which props up the minority Liberal government. We could be into an early election. We might not need to wait all the way until October of 2025. And it could, the first opportunity to topple the Trudeau Liberal government and force an election could come as early as next week. So today in the House of Commons, Pierre Poilievre at it again. I don't believe Trudeau was there, but he didn't waste the opportunity to continue laying the groundwork for a confidence vote, which could come as early as next week. Here's what happened in the House today. Question period.
Voters in Liberal strongholds in Toronto and Montreal have rendered their verdict. This Prime Minister, after 9 years, is not worth the cost. After 9 years of this Bloc Liberal government, we've seen the greatest expansion in the federal government in history, the most expensive centralizing government, including when it comes to the cost of housing and groceries in Quebec. How can the Bloc keep this government in power when it's so bad for Quebec? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I'm so happy to have the opportunity to answer a question that has to do with the Canadian economy, because it gives me the opportunity to celebrate some good news that we got this morning. Inflation was 2%. And that's back to pre-pandemic levels. It's such good news for our country. Conservatives should be celebrating that. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure people who are waiting on waiting lists for food banks or lineups for food banks, or who are living in camps or homeless shelters, they'll be celebrating today. They'll really be celebrating the fact that after the highest inflation in 40 years, prices are still going up. They're not going back down. So the question is, why does the Bloc want to keep the most centralizing, expensive government in power when they have no respect for Quebec's jurisdiction or for Quebecers? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader is showing once again that he's incompetent when it comes to the economy. The fact is that the 2% level is where Canada was before the pandemic. The fact is that since the beginning of this year, inflation was within the Bank of Canada's target range. The fact is that for 19 months now, wages have outstripped inflation. But Conservatives just want bad news for Canadians.
Leader of the opposition.
Canadians in the former Liberal strongholds of Toronto and Montreal have now given their verdict. After 9 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. Taxes up, costs up, crime's up, time's up. Mr. Speaker, isn't it time for Canadians to have a chance to render their verdict right across the country, electing a common-sense Conservative government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime?
I ask members, especially members on the far side of the House, to please not to take the microphone until they're recognized by the Speaker. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I am so glad to have the chance to talk about the economy. That is because today we had good news for Canadians. Inflation is back down to where it was before COVID hit. Inflation has been within the Bank of Canada's target range this whole year. Wages have outpaced inflation for 19 months in a row. But the Conservatives don't want to talk about it. They are so weak and spiteful that for them, good news for Canadians is bad news they want to ignore.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, this incompetent finance minister would tell you that you should celebrate that after prices rising faster than at any time in 40 years, they continue to rise, just not as quickly. I'm sure the people living in tent encampments, or the record-smashing 2 million people lined up at food banks, or the 1 in 4 kids going to school hungry after 9 years of this government will be celebrating. But what we now find out is that it's worse than we thought. According to a document just released, the government's second carbon tax will cost $9 billion in lost GDP. Why won't we have a carbon tax election to decide?
The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I think we all know why the Conservatives are so panicked about an election. It's because they can see that the economic news is good. They can see that we are now back to exactly where we were before COVID hit. They can see the Bank of Canada has lowered interest rates 3 times in a row, and wages have been ahead of inflation for 19 months. That's good news for Canadians. It's bad news for Conservatives.
And once again, I apologize. Normally, I would indicate out of respect to all members by saying the Honourable, and I forgot to do that in this case. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The bad news is we now have 1,800 homeless encampments in Ontario. Shame. 35 in Halifax alone. 2 million Canadians lined up at food banks after 9 years of NDP Liberal government. And now that we learn that on top of the $25 billion annual hit of the first carbon tax to our GDP, the second carbon tax will subtract another $9 billion a year, over $35 billion in lost GDP. That's almost $2,000 per family. Why won't this costly NDP Liberal government allow Canadians to vote on the carbon tax?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I am so glad to have the chance to talk about housing because there is more good news Canadians should know about. And that is that we have extended to 30 years amortizations for all first-time home buyers. That means more young Canadians can buy that first home and afford that mortgage. We've extended to 30 years amortizations for all new homes. That's to encourage what we know we all need, more homes built faster. But these weak and spiteful Conservatives cannot celebrate good news for Canadians because it's bad news for their partisan interests.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly.
What he's going to say, so we'll just stick with it for a moment. Oh, they're happy about winning in Montreal overnight.
I'd like to be able to answer the question from the leader of the opposition, but I'll answer this way. 4th place in La Salle et Maire Verdun. So we're still working on the seniors file and doing so well that we're going to have to make room for one more seat on our benches. Is this government in favor of C-319, and will they ensure that this bill, which everyone in the House voted for, makes it all the way through? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for that question. Our government understands the importance of supporting our seniors.
Okay, enough of that. So as you can see, election front and center. The people want it. There was a poll done, came out I think yesterday, suggesting, the poll says the majority of Canadians don't want an election right now, but I don't believe the poll. I think that the numbers were skewed. Everything I'm seeing, everything I'm hearing indicates that people do want an election. They do want a change in the country, and I think sooner rather than later. My opinion, my prediction, I stand by it. I think we will go to the polls possibly still, even before the snow flies this year. When I say before the snow flies, I mean before Christmas. I could see it possibly happening. Could see something happen as early as next week. That's when a key vote comes up in the House. It could result in a vote of confidence, and that could trigger an election. So hold on. I know I get phone calls every day from people in our Maverick family telling me how much they want an election, how they can't wait for Justin Trudeau to go. And I keep telling everybody, hang on, just hang on a little bit longer. It's coming. It's coming. His days are numbered. He'll try to hang on. I think all the way to next October, if he can, because he's so low in the polls. But I don't think Jagmeet Singh and the Bloc will continue to allow him to remain in power. I think at some point in the very near future, they are going to pull their support, and the government will fall. Here's what the polls look like. The most recent national polling indicates if an election were to be held today, the Conservatives would win in a landslide. If the polling is correct, and I think this is probably fairly accurate, the Conservatives would win 219 seats. That's a massive landslide. The Liberals would fall all the way back to 68 seats. The Bloc Québécois 40, the NDP 14, and the Green Party 2. People's Party of Canada still not registering on the polling. Not enough to win any seats, at least not according to the poll. And other parties like the United Party of Canada not registering either. So a long way to go, a lot of work to do by those parties to get back on the map, or to get on the map at all, period, and win a seat. But that's what Justin Trudeau is facing, decimation. Decimation. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. I think that he is facing intense pressure even from within his own party to step aside as leader, maybe be replaced by Mark Carney, the former Bank of Canada governor. But I don't think he will go. I think he's determined to stay and fight. I heard that he had a caucus meeting where he was playing the Rocky theme and was comparing himself to Rocky, Sylvester Stallone's Rocky. Now, that's what I read. Maybe you guys have heard that as well. I haven't seen the video of it, but I believe it. As much as there is misinformation, disinformation, and outright fake news out there, that one yesterday, I saw that and I thought, oh yeah, that has the ring of truth. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Donald Trump was on an X Spaces last night. Says the guy who was arrested for allegedly planning to assassinate him is far left. Well, let's just listen to what he had to say.
Backup question to that second fold is, this was the second attempt in your life in under 2 months. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a lot of rhetoric going on. Right. A lot of people think that the Democrats, when they talk about threat to democracy and all of this, and it seems that both of these people were radical lefts.
But some people are saying that Ryan Routh wasn't really radical left. As I was saying last night, it's like I think both sides have had him at times, and it's like they want to give him away to the other side. So we're seeing, oh no, he's a Democrat. No, he's a Republican. We know that he was registered as a Republican, but then he shows up at a Kamala Harris rally. We know that he had a Harris Walls bumper sticker on his truck, or on a truck that was parked in what apparently is his home in Hawaii. Now, his previous home, where there's a report out today saying that he had a horse living in the house with him and his family, that they kept a neighbor says that this guy lived with a horse inside his house. True? It's the strangest election ever. Some guy who once had a horse living in his house with him attempted to allegedly set up a sniper's nest at the golf course, and he was there maybe to try to assassinate former President Trump. Really weird stuff. Democrat, Republican, nobody wants him. Just, you can't make the stuff up. Cannot. It's just too weird. What else do we have for you tonight? Oh yeah, the P. Diddy case, right? Oh man. How the rich play and how perverted and twisted things become. Let me see what I've got here on that for you. Yeah. So, Sean Diddy Coombs, the renowned music mogul, has been arrested and denied bail following a 3-count federal indictment for sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation for prostitution. So the charges were unveiled in the Southern District of New York, and they paint a dark picture of Coombs allegedly orchestrating a criminal network within his extensive business empire. So this network, according to the indictment, was involved in acts ranging from sex trafficking to bribery and obstruction of justice, all allegedly designed to fulfill Coombs' sexual desires and maintain his public image. Details from the indictment describe Coombs hosting what he referred to as freak-offs, elaborate drug-fueled sex parties where women were coerced into participation, sometimes under the guise of romantic relationships. Authorities found an array of items during raids, including narcotics and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant believed to be used for these escapades, shall we say? So Coombs appeared in court today where he pleaded not guilty amidst heavy media presence and the support of his family, despite his legal team's request for a $50 million bond secured by his Miami home. The judge denied bail, citing Coombs' history of substance abuse and violence as significant risks. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson highlighted findings from a hotel room raid where a pink powder suspected to be a narcotic was discovered. The prosecution argues that Coombs' wealth and connections make him a flight risk and a danger to the community. This legal battle marks a sharp downfall for Coombs, once a celebrated figure in the music industry, now facing allegations that echo those made by his former girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, in a lawsuit settled last year. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams emphasized the ongoing nature of the investigation, encouraging potential victims or witnesses to come forward. Coombs' legal team remains confident, asserting his innocence and readiness to fight these charges. And I know that John Rimby has been following this for us, and we're going to try to contact John now. Hang on just a moment, and we're going to get him on the line. Here we go. We're going to dial up John. And get his views on this. I also have a little piece of video to share with you.
Good evening. How are you?
I am fine, Sir John. Tell us, sir. Just give me your, I guess, first your reaction to this P. Diddy story. Is this weird or what?
Well, hello, Maverick News out of Alberta. Pretty shocking, eh? Worldwide story. I think it's been coming for a while. The investigation, if you pulled up any of the news clips there, Rick, this P. Diddy Combs, he's maybe looking at 30, 40 years in jail if he's convicted on racketeering, freak sex parties, drugs, just a whole array of indictment charges that came down today out of New York, and I think there's going to be more coming.
1,000 bottles of baby oil? 1,000? What?
I think there might be a big garage sale in Beverly Hills, Rick, for baby oil. Yeah, I guess he was buying these freak sex parties, male escorts. He's up on sex trafficking, rape charges, like just a whole. And I think there's more coming. They're not going to be allegedly releasing him out of custody out of New York by the sounds of it.
Yeah, no bail. So he's still in custody. So 1,000 I keep coming back to that. What do you do with 1,000 bottles of baby oil? Like, how much baby oil do you need even for a freak sex party thing? Like, how much oil do you need?
Well, that's what really got me today, Rick, watching this news on it was it stuck in my head too, like a freak show. Freak sex parties, 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube and the whole, I mean, you might as well open a porn film company, eh?
Oh my God, 1,000 Like, what do you do? Is he filling hot tubs with this stuff or what? Like, is he like filling them up? Like, I don't get it.
Like, Rick, how much weirder can this thing get? And they're actually going back to 2008 and charging him, he's allegedly a billionaire with his music, his songs, his different entertainment companies. And if you've seen any of these properties that the FBI raided, I mean, you're not talking just a mini mansion. I mean, you're talking a $50-60 million mansion in Beverly Hills. And he's got properties in New York, Miami's got, and they've confiscated stuff from multiple different homes of him, guns broken up. Just pull up some of the news reports. It's unreal.
Yeah. Well, I don't need the news reports. I can see what's going on, and I also see this. Hang on, I'm going to run this clip. You won't be able to hear it, John, but
you betcha, run it.
But I'm going to run this clip of him and Hillary Clinton. Watch this. Like, again, like, it's just too weird.
We're not going to get into sophisticated politics. We're going to talk about a problem that we have
This is old.
in young America. Young Americans being disenfranchised. Only 36% of us have voted. And I wanted you to speak. You're one of the few politicians that young people relate to. And we wanted to just hear the message on why you feel it's important for them to vote this year. Young people and please talk to the people that are disenfranchised, that don't believe in the power of their vote.
Well, I really think that this year more than any other, young people have their entire futures at stake. When I go to the floor of the Senate to cast a vote, I'm casting a vote about what the economy is going to look like and what kind of jobs are going to be available, whether there's going to be health care, whether there's going to be good education. Every issue that you can imagine has a direct impact on how every young person watching is going to live his or her life. And so I would hope that this year, more than any other, people would stop and think, hey, do I want to wake up in 5 years and, have more violence in the streets than we do now, more homelessness, more people out of work, kids not even having a chance to get educated, hospitals closing down. This is a direct impact on their lives, and I believe your slogan, vote or die, is accurate.
So there she was, Hillary Clinton with P. Diddy at a convention, and that's from some time ago. But isn't it also strange or weird how Hillary Clinton always seems to pop up in the middle of these things? John?
Amazing. The other thing too, Rick, this P. Diddy, Sean Combs, he is so well connected in to the Hollywood machine, and I'm talking very, very high-ranking profile celebrities have been around him, isolating him, and I imagine they're probably running for the hills to departure themselves from him. And it almost gets into a line of weird thought of Jeffrey Epstein. What was that movie, Rick, that Tom Cruise did with Nicole Kidman?
Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick film. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, it gets into this whole high-ranking billionaires sort of pedophilia, underground sex rings, And I mean, just plain out of the box, just weird. And we're talking the range of charges that this Sean Combs, P. Diddy's up on is sexual trafficking, racketeering, gun charges, rape, allegedly, assault, loads of cash that's been spun around through his different companies and group of companies to organize this. And P. Diddy, Sean Combs, allegedly, he's not the only one involved in this. The reports are coming out. There's a lot of people right around him that are probably down the road going to be charged as well. But he's like the figurehead of controlling this. I mean, I phoned you this morning. I mean, this is a big international breaking story, like just in the music business in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, this stuff, people get a lot of money, they get fame. There's a little bit of power that comes with that, and then they forget that there's also responsibility and a need to preserve your self-respect through restraint. And people are easily led down dark paths. This could really cost him, couldn't it? Everything. Looks like it might.
And here's where it gets interesting. He's allegedly a billionaire, was a very successful rap artist, and then multiple businesses, real estate. And he had some huge endorsements here a number of years ago until he got a little bit kooky off the deep end. But this prosecutor out of New York it sounds like allegedly they may be going after P. Diddy, Sean Combs, his entire $1 billion plus empire of real estate and his businesses, and he's allegedly cashed up, but they're looking at confiscating and seizing probably 99% of his assets because this money has been generated from criminal activities of sexual propriety, sex trafficking, people, guns, drugs. I mean, it's a whole... I mean, you couldn't write a Hollywood movie producer story on this, Rick. They'd throw you out of Universal Studios and say you're a nut job.
Well, he hasn't been convicted yet. It'll be interesting to see where all of this goes, but you can kind of see the path we're on with it. So
and
disturbing.
Again, Rick, a very, very good point. You are innocent until proven guilty, and that's important to mention on Maverick. He has been charged. He is innocent under the law in the United States. Until he's convicted beyond a reasonable doubt under criminal law, and that has not happened and may not happen for a couple of years with trial, he should be looked upon as an innocent person that's been charged.
Yes, yeah.
And a high-ranking, very high-ranking superstar within the music and entertainment industry. And again, he's probably going to hire the most expensive lawyers you can hire defense-wise in the United States of America. So,
well, he's in a way in a fight for his life now. So we will see where it goes.
Well, even on a handful of the charges that came out today on the indictment out of New York in the United States, if he's even convicted on just a handful of those, some of those carry allegedly a 20, 25, 30-year prison term.
Yeah.
And they were talking today, that they're not, they're requesting his bail be turned down and he not be released. And with a person as high profile as him, look at what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Was that a suicide or allegedly a murder for hire with the video cameras turned off? And I think that's going to be high profile with Sean Diddy Combs in lockup in New York in that same building Epstein was in, allegedly.
Yeah. Well, sir, before we go, any thoughts on the Liberals losing these two by-elections overnight? What do you think it means? Are we heading to the polls soon?
I hope so. I think it's good news. I really think it's good news. It's been a long time coming, and the pendulum is swinging back towards the favor of the Conservatives. And I think it's great news. I think it's incredibly fantastic news. And I think it's going to be good for Canada and, long overdue. Long, this 8-year reign of destruction with Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland has got to come to an end. Calmer heads have got to prevail. And I think it's, Albertans feel we can't go to the polls soon enough.
Yeah.
And you heard my friend last night in Pierre Poilievre's riding what his viewpoint on it was.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just kind of queuing some stuff up here, so I'm a little bit distracted, but I am listening to you. And yeah, your friend last night was a great short-term guest to have on. It was an excellent call. So it was nice to have somebody on from Pierre Poilievre's riding, giving us their perspective. So, John, with that, I think we are going to wrap up, and we need to get Dragon on here because he did send me a message and said that he has something to share with us tonight. I think he wants to comment on the by-election.
Again, pray for peace around the world, Rick and Mavericks. We need peace. We need calmness. We need some leaders like Winston Churchill to show us their steel and stand up for values.
Hey, you know, I'm glad you kind of mentioned that because Winston Churchill has been under fire in recent days with some people trying to smear him and say that he was the actual architect of World War II, if you can believe that. How does that make you feel as a Canadian, as somebody living in Western society? I know that you are proud of your country and you know some of your history. What do you make of that? Why do you think, well, just what's your reaction to somebody trying to say that Winston Churchill is to blame for World War II?
Well, Rick, it just makes me sick to my gut as a Christian and a spiritual person. I'm sick and tired of our Winston Churchill, hands down, as one of the most incredible leaders of generations. And I don't like these woke historians that are trying to rewrite our history. Winston Churchill was an incredible Prime Minister of Britain and probably saved the Western world with his guts, tenacity, integrity, and forward thinking. And I'm just sick and tired of our Western leaders that are just constantly under a barrage of fake news and false attack. And it's got to stop. You can't, history's history, whether you like it or don't like it, but these people that are trying to rewrite it, I think they should be thrown in jail and the key thrown away.
Well, I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but I do agree that our heroes, our icons, you know, they're under attack. It's like chipping away a little more again at the foundation of our society. They want to take away our heroes and rewrite our history. I am in despair over things like this.
And Rick, we have to stand tall and back up Sir Winston Churchill. We have to stand tall in North America and stand up for our leaders and stand up for our true history, whether it be President Lincoln or Sir Winston Churchill. We cannot let them be under attack, and we need to be on guard for that, and we need to put a stop to it.
Yeah, I mean, not a perfect man, but he was the guy really who ultimately was, in fact, he actually stood up to the Nazis alone for a while in Britain. He was sort of a lone voice warning the West about the rise of Hitler and Nazism. He was there alone. Well, people like Chamberlain gained favor politically for a while and took a path to appeasement and concession and isolation. But then in the end, it was Churchill who was proven to be right. And then the nation had to go to him. And they said, we need Winston. We need Winston. And it was Winston Churchill who led Britain, the UK, and the Western world in many respects, one of the main leaders to stand up against fascism and Nazism.
And Rick, we need to be very careful, and why it is so incredibly important for us to stand up for our true history and it not rewritten is because of our leaders like Sir Winston Churchill or Abraham Lincoln. And we've got to stand tall because they keep chipping away at us, and we can't let that happen anymore. We've got to stand tall and hold the line like the truckers did in Ottawa.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to I'm not going to sit here and accept people. And I've heard the narrative. I know what the alternative narrative is, and I'm sorry, but I'm not buying it. because it's all designed to make us blame ourselves again, take away another one of our heroes. It's just one step closer to capturing our flag. Times were what they were back, in the 1930s and the 1940s, and decisions were made, choices were made. Politicians, as always, in that day, as in present day, have to make pragmatic decisions, choices, choose the lesser of two evils sometimes. And in the case of World War II, it was a choice made to create an alliance with the Soviet Union and Stalin at the time to oppose Germany. And, in the end, it was Winston Churchill who was one of the main leaders of that. Criticized now, all these years later, as being one of the main architects of World War II? I don't think so.
Rick, if we did not have Sir Winston Churchill, we may be flying a different flag in Canada other than the maple leaf. And people need to sit back and have a sobering moment and think about that and stop this foolish wokeness of rewriting our history, because it doesn't pass the smell test with me.
Yeah,
and I stand up for our leaders.
It is sort of a woke thing. People are sort of viewing this as coming from sort of the far right, but in reality, I would say that the person delivering this initially is sort of in alignment with the people in the extreme progressive left. He's right over there in that camp. People just don't realize it because the old labels just don't quite fit anymore. Politics is going through a convergence. Things are messed up.
Rick, I'm sorry. I don't care if the old labels don't fit anymore. It's called history.
That's right.
It's called history, and I'm not standing there. Their woke new rewriting of history. It does not pass the smell test.
No, it doesn't.
It does not pass the smell test. And people need to think, if it wasn't for Sir Winston Churchill, we may be flying a completely different flag in Canada, and it would probably still have some red on it, but it wouldn't have our maple leaf. And people need to suck it up, Buttercup, and stand up for our history. And our history is not perfect, but I'm a proud, God-fearing Canadian, and I'm not giving up 1 minute on this country. Hope is eternal, and we've talked off record a lot of time, Rick. Mm-hmm. Hope is eternal, and we have to keep our eye on the prize.
Stand on guard for thee. Thank you, John.
Cheers. Peace around the world, Mavericks. Pray for peace.
All right. And folks,
God bless you.
See you, John. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And we'll be back in just a moment with, I hope, Dragon.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
We are back, and on the line with us live right now from Montreal, Dragon. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Mavericks?
Great to have you back. So you had this by-election. Is that why you're calling to discuss, or what else did you want to talk about?
Well, I can probably comment on the by-election for sure. Well, I'm kind of glad to know that the Liberal has lost their seat. But in a way, is it good? Because we know that the Bloc Québécois has their bias with the Liberals. Probably this will change, I hope. So, yeah. But actually, I wanted to comment also on what happened in Lebanon.
Oh, sure. Well, great. So I was going to start talking about that anyway. So we have these pagers that have been blowing up, and it looks like they are targeting Hezbollah operatives within Lebanon. It isn't clear. There's a lot of speculation. Some people thinking it's Israel behind it. I'm looking over at Russian media. They're trying to suggest that it's the United States that's doing it, of course. I don't know at this point who might be responsible for it, but whoever is doing this has a very sophisticated system in order to execute this operation. We are looking at, how many are we up to now? Earlier today when I looked, it was well over 1,000 people injured and
8 deaths.
8 people killed. Yes. Yep. So what do you make of this? What are your thoughts?
Well, actually, I did make my own research about the subject. And from what I'm looking, it's probably a hack that did tamper with the battery component, which regulate the temperature.
Yep.
So if your phone, for example, which explode in your hand with that battery, well, it's going to be pretty much painful, and it can injure you pretty badly. So this is, I think, what we would call the first kinetic attack by a hack in our history.
That's very interesting. And those lithium-ion batteries in your cell phone, or in this case, pagers, it was pagers that were targeted, which involve one-way communication messages. If you're old like I am, I used to have pagers when I was working as a journalist for CTV and other outlets. Anyway, you don't need to know how old I am. But yeah, I used to run around with a pager. And so it's a one-way communication device. If you don't know what they are, it just beeps sometimes, and then you have to go make a phone call or retrieve a message. There's sometimes a voice message that is sent. You can hear it on a speaker, or sometimes you can see a text message come in, depending on what kind of pager you have. But it's just a one-way message reception device.
I remember the old pager when you had to call the person on the pager, and it was just showing you the phone number of the person that wanted you to call back as soon as possible. Yes. Basically, it was a way to tell you, phone me back right now.
Yes. So I'm seeing that the hospitals were sort of overwhelmed with people coming in with injuries. Some people losing fingers, severe injuries to stomachs, because of course a lot of people would wear these on their belts, either right in front or sometimes to the side, or put them in their pockets. So a lot of leg injuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people have lost limb also from these attacks. So
and even genitals. So yeah,
pretty concerning when you think that an everyday tool like a phone or a pager now can be used against your own self.
Yeah, so I've got a clip here from the U.S. State Department. I'm just going to run that for you. This is how they've responded today after being asked questions about it. And in the White House media briefing, The press secretary also addressed this, but this is a direct response from the State Department.
Sure. Well, just to begin with, in general, what does the U.S. know about what happened? There have been a series of deaths and injuries, apparently from exploding pagers. Was the U.S. have any knowledge? What does it know now, and when did it know about what has happened?
So we are gathering information on this incident. I can tell you that the U.S. was not involved in it. The U.S. was not aware of this incident in advance, and at this point, we're gathering information.
And what information have you gathered so far?
We'll continue to collect information. I don't have any public readout to give now, but we're collecting information in the same way that journalists are across the world to gather the facts about what might have happened.
Obviously.
So they're saying they're not involved, they're just gathering information, and the speculation continues. So we just do not know. I don't know. I have something here about a paging system. What is this? I'm going to put this up on the screen. This seems to be related to what happened over there. And yeah, those batteries, if they explode, they pack one heck of a punch. Very, very dangerous. Dear album community, it says, as we upgrade our paging system to a new updated version with a better coverage, we're officially decommissioning the old paging system. The go live date is August 29th at 8:30 a.m. The new paging system will be restricted to emergency code teams, ensuring improved reliability and focused communication during critical situations. Please note that the code activation process will remain centralized in the call center. Just scanning through. So I don't know what this means. I'm not sure why this was sent over here. Okay. When I find out more, if it's relevant, I can come back to it, but I just don't know. Here's I don't know if I really want to show you the actual explosion here because it is graphic, but I will show you just some stills from this incident in a market. And again, it is Hezbollah operatives who have been targeted by these attacks. And you can see there's an explosion right there. And he's going down. I won't continue to show you the whole thing because it is graphic, so I'll stop it there. But as you can see, he's just not expecting it at all. Here, I'll pull that down, and then I'll just skip past the most graphic part. And here he is just on the ground, waiting for some people to come over to help him. This is, of course, the result of the escalating conflict in the Middle East. Israel being attacked on October 7th and then retaliating, and the war in Gaza, and Hezbollah now engaging. Even Hezbollah has been firing rockets at Israel ever since. And now we're getting this. So was Israel behind this? One would think that Israel would be the main suspect in this. Is it a legal thing? I don't know. It's very targeted. So what do you think? Any thoughts on the legalities through international law, the laws that govern warfare?
Well, I will
This is
tell
unusual.
you, it's pretty unconventional because it's not something that we are used to see. It's completely new. But yeah, there's probably some legals, some legal behind it. So yeah,
I would think
we'll
that
have to see about that.
as I think about international law and the rules governing warfare, if you're at war or you're in a conflict, as they are, this would be a legal weapon because it's not targeting indiscriminately civilians. It's very targeted. They're targeting Hezbollah operatives. So they're doing that without putting the general population at risk. It's extremely targeted, very sophisticated. Obviously, as you say, how do they do this? I think that what you're suggesting from what your research has shown, it's probably a pretty accurate conclusion to come to, that they've used some sort of a hack to make the batteries explode. So that means they have to have access to the contact information, and they need to be able to send out a signal to specific pagers at specific numbers in order to execute this hack. Very interesting. If indeed that's how it was done, we don't know.
Well, if you look at what happened on the Stuxnet case, which is a act that did tempered with the centrifuge of a nuclear plant, well, if you look at it in that analogy, yeah, this is kind of a new warfare, I think, or a new opening on the virtual warfare that we see.
Yeah, it's a new age.
Completely a new age.
And that is why when people say, oh, this army has X number of troops and they're this much bigger than this opposing army, it isn't just about troop size, it's about technology. How will war be waged with technology in the future? And the technology and the use of it extends to information warfare, kinetic warfare, drone warfare, which is going to figure even more prominently in the future, as it's already figuring into these conflicts now. And yeah, even computer hacking, communications systems hacks, not just to monitor, but now to actually send out an offensive attack. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before in history. This is, as you said, Dragon, this is brand new.
Yeah. Because I can tell you for a fact, if you look at, for example, the evolution of what happened in World War II, okay? You know, the technology that was used in World War II, we had to be pretty much inventive, right?
Yeah.
To come with, for example, what happened right after Pearl Harbor, or how the Canadians started to be actually part of the World War, since, well, Churchill did helped us economically also to get there. So, and not only that, I mean, I can tell, we can probably do an episode on this, but the thing is that if you look into the evolution of war, it's always like you're gonna have to think outside of the box. And right now, with what's going on with technologically speaking on our advancement that we have made for the last 100 years, yeah, it's all new level.
Yeah. Seeing today as well that Russia has launched, let me see if I can find you a video of this rocket being launched today. And it has some sort of a top secret military payload on it. It's worth well over $30 million, according to media reports. Yeah, I believe this is the rocket going up right here. Let me just show you. And this is also tied into what the future is going to look like in the United States now. We have the U.S. Space Force and Russia launching this rocket to carry what some think must be some sort of surveillance or spy technology.
Okay.
So there goes the rocket. Rocket technology has come a long way, too. You look at what SpaceX is doing with the re-entry systems and rockets being able to actually land right on their tail for reuse later, instead of the old system of re-entry using parachutes. So, very interesting stuff, but also kind of scary. People are worried about cyber surveillance here. Well, I think that what's going on is we're being cyber surveilled by foreign governments who are really not honoring. Of course, they don't care about our laws over here, so they'll spy on us from outer space. They'll get into our phone systems, our computer systems. They don't care. They'll hack right in because they're not subject to our laws. And I'm sure that we're doing it in foreign countries too, on the other side. That's the way it goes. It's an evolving part of warfare.
Well, we know that the U.S. or Australia is being used to spy on you or whoever else that they want, even me, and give those information to our government, and our government can tell that they are not the one who's spying on us. It's just their friends who's doing it, you know? So
yeah, they kind of do use that as a workaround by handing things off to other agencies.
Well, they're using loopholes in their own laws that they are providing. So
in order to surveil people that they think are a threat to national security. Yeah, for sure. We know that's absolutely being done. So that's definitely something that is of concern and, maybe needs further scrutiny. So anyway, here's some climate. Just before we wrap up with you here, Dragon, here's a video of some climate activists vandalizing a Tesla electric truck, Cybertruck, to make a point about climate change, I guess. This doesn't make sense. These guys don't make any sense. So let me get this straight. We're electrifying the auto industry because we're worried about climate change. So these climate change activists are dumping orange paint all over a Cybertruck to protest, which is electric, to protest climate change? I don't understand.
The only case I can make probably out of it is that you would protest of what's happening with the battery once it's obsolete. Because, well, it's hard to get rid of them, and it's probably more polluting, for some would argue that. So, I mean, they are probably arguing about that fact. I don't know. I cannot tell you everything about these because you just made me aware of this situation. But if I look into it, that's probably, that's my first assessment of what's going on with them.
Well, I'm just looking up more information about it here, and they're saying, the climate change activists who just did that, they are saying that they're protesting because it weighs almost 3 tons and they use a lot of energy. It's true. I think that they're ridiculous. This was in Germany, by the way. And yeah, I think a lot of these electric vehicles are ridiculous because they do weigh so much, and it's like they go, 0 to 60 in like 0.2 seconds, right? 0.2 of a second. They're super high performance, and they chew up so much energy. But if it's electric, it's like energy efficiency is secondary in terms of consideration, or tertiary. So it doesn't matter. And then they make giant trucks like electric Hummers and big cyber trucks and high performance super duper supercars with mega super powerful high performance motor. And it's the same thing it's the same thing that happened with gasoline powered cars in the earliest days, and even right up into the 50s, 60s, until you kind of got into the 70s. after the muscle car era, where cars were huge, weighed more than a mountain. You know, they weighed just thousands and thousands of pounds. They were huge fins on the back, and they'd be 79 feet long, and they'd get like seven gallons to the mile. Right? It's just crazy stuff when you think back on it. Energy efficiency just wasn't a concern because oil was so plentiful, and now that seems to be the mentality, partly with electricity too. Let's make a giant cyber super truck that weighs 3,000 pounds. Yeah, that's energy efficient. You need trucks, I get it, but I don't know. The whole thing with the electric vehicles doesn't make sense. So in that way, I guess the climate change activists have a bit of a point, but at the same time, it's the climate change activists that got us here to begin with. They're to blame for this. There's the irony in it. What do you think?
So basically, they're saying our solution is not good enough.
Yeah, we gave them what they wanted, and now they don't like it. It's the same thing with wind turbines. They wanted wind turbines. They wanted solar. Now we have wind turbines, and they don't like wind turbines because they're a blight on the landscape, because they kill birds, because of electromagnetic radiation, which some people have health concerns with. They don't last more than maybe 15 or 20 years, so they have to be dismantled. The blades are not, biodegradable, so they're difficult, if not impossible, to recycle because of the materials they're made of. So they're being buried when their useful life expires. They don't like the solar panels because they're also a blight on the landscape. They also don't last. They're not efficient. It doesn't matter what you do. The climate change activists are never happy. I don't know what the answer is for them, except maybe depopulation. I don't know. Is that what they want?
No, you're right. Depopulation of cars.
Yes, well, that's true.
Get rid of all the cars.
Get rid of all the cars. But they won't be happy with the horse and buggies because the horses fart, and that will contribute to greenhouse gases. There's no way to win with these guys, you see. So,
you're right.
Yeah, can't have
greenhouses.
That. Can't have any transportation, I guess.
Well, your foot.
I wonder what mode of transportation those protesters used to get to that location where they were throwing the orange paint on the Cybertruck. Did they walk? Did they walk over there?
Public transportation or their own car?
I don't know. What were you watching earlier? Did you see did you hear the song?
Yeah, love it.
Well, yeah, pretty cool song, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what?
Shout out to our mascot, Cosmo.
Cosmo. Yeah. So, I'm going to show you one more video here, Dragon, tonight, to just leave everybody with just a little bit of uplifting, something just a little inspirational. I just came across this earlier today, and I think you guys will appreciate this. And just a mention on that song. What I'm going to do with that is we've created actually a collection of 10 freedom songs. All original songs, and I've compiled them all, and we put together an album. And I'm going to make those available for people who donate to the program. And they're all really actually pretty good songs. With
wonderful idea.
Pretty cool lyrics, and I will make these things available to people who donate to the program. So anyway, I'm going to show you this video first before we go back to Free Dog, because I've got another version of that to share with you here tonight too. Okay, here's this cool video, just to show you that even though human beings are busy trying to blow each other to kingdom come in these god-awful wars, there's still some kindness out there. Look at what this person did for this poor bird with its head stuck in a fence.
Could I never come
I'm going to turn the music down on this, but look at that. Poor bird got his head caught. Couldn't get out. It's free now. Free bird.
Free as a bird.
Free as a bird. And
Aw, that's so
yeah,
sweet.
isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Shows you there's still kindness out there. So I'm inspired by that. And
my dad did unstuck a skunk from his head stuck in a jar. So yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't get sprayed. Actually, he kind of rewarded him with a lick and went on his way. Kind of weird, eh?
Yeah.
How savage creatures sometimes can, they're not so savage much.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, as I was saying, we also have this collection of 10 songs. The title track on the album is "Free Dog." Okay, and I think it's a really wicked song. It sticks in my head every time I've been playing it, and it's all original. It's a Maverick original. All the songs on the album are originals, and yeah, I'll make it available to people with I don't know. What do you think, Dragon? What kind of donation should we ask for an album download?
An album download? Well, I'd go around 10, 15 bucks.
Yeah, okay. So any donation of $10 or more, just leave a notation on the donation where you can donate at
freedom.com.
freedomreporters.com.
Freedom the Reporter.
I'll put it up on the screen. I just have to find it here. That's right. freedomreporters.com. freedomreporters.com. And you can also donate at
Maverick Multimedia.
No, at maverickdonations.com. You're getting it wrong. That's okay. Maverickdonations.com to help us keep the lights on and pay the bills. freedomreporters.com or maverickdonations.com. Either one, and just make a notation. I don't need your address. I will need an email address, though, to send you. I will send you a download link for the whole album, the Freedom Dog album. We have 10 songs on there. I'll tell you what they are. I'm not going to play them all for you here tonight, but I will put together a promo in future nights with samples from them all. So we got Free Dog. We have Freedom Frenzy. We have, Leo the Lost Night. This one's special. I wrote this specifically with my wife in mind. So this was actually written for my wife, but I'm putting it on the collection because it's also about freedom and the lockdowns. And Freedom to Roam, that's a song that I wrote for my parents, a tribute to my parents. Oh, and this one, this will drive you crazy because it shows a little bit of compassion. It's called For Trudeau We Pray. Yeah, we don't want to hate him. We want to pray for him, even as we pray for him to leave office so that the country can heal. But we pray for him. We don't hate him. At least I don't. And that's what the song is about. Oh, and then there's another tune on there called Canuckistan. Okay, Canuckistan. And here's one for our, for everybody, but especially our U.S. Mavericks, bringing back America. And then the final track is Free Dog Reprise, second version of that song. I also have to say thank you so much to May, who did send a donation in and a very nice letter. I got that here today. I'm so appreciative. You don't know how much that means, man. You saved the day with your help today. Thank you, May. Really, 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 really appreciate it. Thank you. And Johnny, I got your donation with the fake $20 bill in it. That's hilarious. And then the real one was in there too. Thank you for that. Really, really, really appreciate that too. Thank you. And if you guys donate $10 or more tonight, I will send you the full Free Dog album. Either donate at maverickdonations.com or freedomreporters.com. Either or, just make the notation. I'll need an email address so I can send the link. And with that, I will leave you with version 2 of Free Dog tonight, Free Dog Reprise. And Dragon, thank you, sir, so much for joining me on the program tonight. Really, 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 really appreciate you helping out tonight as well. And John, and a big shout out to Jeff Evely. And our thoughts are with him as he faces, I don't know what kind of penalty or punishment from the state next week, just for walking over to the War Memorial where he was going to stand guard during the Freedom Convoy. So with that in mind, folks, I will leave you with Free Dog Reprise.
Shines so bright. He was singing a tune. A lonesome dog's cry about freedom and running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. Cosmos got them paws that just itch to roam. He's chasing his dreams. He's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a blur. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. So if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmos run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day when you're feeling low, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. A tail that wags like it's never heard of a blur. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur. A tail that wags like it's never heard of a blur. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. Now the night's getting old and the sky's turning gray, but Cosmos still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With Maverick the fields, breaking all the lanes. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog. He's a free dog. He's a free dog.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.